The transport ship moved slowly through space toward Veltac Prime. Inside the ship, Kang Ho sat by a small window and watched the stars. He was 19 years old and had never been so far from Earth. His black hair was cut short, and his clothes were simple. Nothing about him looked special. The other passengers on the ship were aliens. They had different colors, sizes, and shapes. Some had 4 arms, others had scales instead of skin. A few could change their body color when they felt different emotions. Kang Ho watched them but stayed quiet. He had learned to watch and listen before speaking. When the ship reached Veltac Prime, Kang Ho saw the biggest building he had ever seen. The Galactic Academy of Advanced Combat Sciences covered half of the planet's surface. Tall towers reached into the clouds. Training grounds spread out like metal seas. Thousands of students from across the galaxy came here to learn how to fight. Tall alien with blue skin and 4 eyes met Kang Ho at the landing area. "I am Veltan," the alien said. His voice sounded like music. "I run this academy. You must be the human exchange student." Kang Ho nodded. "Yes, sir. My name is Kang Ho." Veltan looked at him with all 4 eyes. "I must tell you, we have not had a human student here for over 200 years. The last ones did not do well. They walked through wide halls filled with alien students. The walls showed pictures of great warriors from different worlds. Kang Ho saw creatures with wings, others with metal claws, and some that looked like living rocks. None of the pictures showed humans. "Your species lost the war with the hegemony," Veltan said as they walked. "Many people think humans are weak now. They think your planet made you soft." Kang Ho did not say anything. He knew what others thought about Earth and humans. They called his world a death world because it was so dangerous. But they also thought the danger made humans weak instead of strong. They were wrong about that. They stopped outside a large room. Through the glass walls, Kang Ho could see alien students fighting each other. Some moved faster than his eyes, could follow. Others threw energy blasts from their hands. One student had skin like armor that could not be broken. "This is Class Delta 7, Veltan said. "They are the best students we have. You will train with them." The doors opened, and the fighting stopped. Every alien in the room turned to look at Kang Ho. He could feel their eyes studying him. Some looked confused. Others looked like they wanted to laugh. A huge alien with gray skin and natural armor walked over. He was 3 times bigger than Kang Ho and had muscles like steel cables. "This is the human?" he asked. His voice was deep like thunder. "I am Thekmor from Brutania. I have heard humans are weak." Before Kang Ho could answer, another student joined them. This one had pale skin and silver eyes that seemed to glow. "I am Silvera," she said. "I can read minds, but I cannot read yours clearly. How strange." More students came over. Roxgon had 6 arms and green scales. His people were famous for being the best fighters in 3-star systems. Crixtel moved so fast he looked like a blur of yellow light. His species could run faster than most vehicles. "So this is what Earth produces now," said another voice. Commander Zefkol entered the room. He had red skin and wore the black uniform of an academy teacher. "I have read about human warriors from the old days. They say your people once fought wars that lasted years, but that was long ago." Kang Ho stood straight and looked at the commander. "We still fight, sir. We just fight different enemies now." Some of the alien students laughed. Thekmore made a sound like rocks falling. What enemies could be dangerous on a world that produces such small, weak creatures? Each other, Kang Ho said quietly. The laughter stopped. The students looked at him with new interest. Silvera tried again to read his mind, but she frowned and stepped back. Commander Zefkol studied Kang Ho for a long moment. "We will see what you can do, human. But first, you need to understand something. This academy trains the galaxy's future, warriors. Students die here during training. If you are too weak, you will not survive." "I understand, sir." "Good. Thekmore, show the human what real combat looks like." Thekmore smiled, showing teeth like broken glass. He moved to the center of the room and picked up a weapon that looked like a metal club. "I will try not to kill you too quickly, human." Kang Ho walked to the weapons area. He looked at the alien weapons for a moment, then picked up a simple metal rod. It was not as fancy as the other weapons, but it felt right in his hands. "Are you ready to learn about real strength?" Thekmore asked. Kang Ho took a fighting position. He had learned to fight on Earth, where every day was a battle to stay alive, where wars had been going on for so long that children grew up learning to survive before they learned to read, where the most dangerous enemy was always another human who wanted what you had. "I am ready," Kang Ho said. The other students formed a circle around them. Veltan watched from the doorway. Commander Zefkol crossed his arms and waited to see what the human could do. Thekmore charged forward like a mountain falling. His weapon came down toward Kang Ho's head with enough force to crush stone. The other students expected to see the human die in the first few seconds. But Kang Ho was not there when the weapon hit the ground. He had moved to the side, just enough to avoid the attack. The metal rod in his hands struck Thekmore's knee, right where the armor had a small gap. Thekmore roared in surprise and swung his weapon sideways. Again, Kang Ho moved just enough to avoid it. This time he struck the big alien's wrist. "How are you so fast?" Thekmore asked, breathing hard. Kang Ho did not answer. He was watching, learning, waiting. On Earth, he had learned that the biggest enemy was not always the strongest enemy. He had learned that sometimes the best way to win was to let the other person make mistakes. The fight continued for 10 minutes. Thekmore grew more angry and less careful with each attack. Kang Ho stayed calm and kept moving. Finally, the big alien made a mistake that left him open. Kang Ho's metal rod hit him in the throat, right where the armor ended. Thekmore fell to the ground, unable to breathe properly. The other students stared in shock. The human had won. Commander Zefkol walked over to Kang Ho. "Interesting," he said. "You fight like you expect everyone to try to kill you." "Because they do," Kang Ho replied. "Where I come from, that is just normal life." 3 weeks passed since Kang Ho arrived at the academy. He had learned the daily routines and studied his classmates. Every morning, Class Delta 7 practiced combat in different ways. Some days they fought with weapons. Other days they fought without weapons. Each student was good at different things. Thekmore was strong and could take a lot of damage. Silvera could make others see things that were not real by using her mind powers. Roxgon could fight 6 opponents at the same time with his 6 arms. Crixtel moved so fast that most enemies could not even see him coming. The other students had slowly begun to respect Kang Ho. He did not win every fight, but he never gave up. He learned from every defeat and came back stronger. Most importantly, he was not afraid of them. This confused the aliens because most creatures from weak worlds were scared of stronger species. Commander Zephkol watched Kang Ho carefully during training. The human fought differently than anyone else. He did not try to be the strongest or the fastest. Instead, he waited for his opponents to make mistakes. He studied how they moved and found their weak points. It was like he could see things that others missed. On a cold morning, sirens rang through the academy. All students stopped their training and looked around. The sirens only rang when something important was happening. Veltan's voice spoke through the speakers in every room. "Attention all students and teachers. We have a special visitor today. Please remain calm and continue your normal activities." Through the large windows, the students could see a dark ship landing on the academy's main platform. The ship looked different from any they had seen before. Its metal was black like empty space, and it had no windows or lights. It looked like something made for hunting, rather than traveling. "What kind of ship is that?" asked Do Hyun, another human student who had arrived the week before. She had been training with a different class, but today all the human students were together for special exercises. Kang Ho studied the dark ship. Something about it made him feel uncomfortable. It reminded him of the military vehicles he had seen during the wars on Earth. Vehicles that only came when someone was going to die. An hour later, the doors to their training room opened. Veltan entered, followed by a creature that made every student step backward. It was tall like Tekmor, but much thinner. Its skin was pale white and seemed to glow with its own light. It had no hair, and its eyes were completely black. When it moved, it made no sound at all. "Students," Veltan said, and his voice sounded nervous. "This is Malakar. He is a void-born slayer who has come to test your combat skills. He has traveled a long way to visit our academy." Malakar looked at each student slowly. When his black eyes focused on someone, that person felt cold inside. When he looked at Kang Ho, the human felt like prey being studied by a predator. "These are your best students?" Malakar asked. His voice was quiet but seemed to come from everywhere at once. "They look weak. I promise you they are the finest warriors in training," Veltan said quickly. "Each one comes from a race known for their combat abilities." Malakar smiled, showing teeth that were too sharp and too white. "I will test them, one by one, to see if they are truly worthy of being called warriors." Commander Zephkol stepped forward. "What kind of test did you have in mind?" "Combat," Malakar said simply. "Real combat, where survival depends on skill, not on safety rules." The students looked at each other nervously. They had heard stories about slayers. These creatures came from the empty space between galaxies. They hunted other living beings for sport. Most people thought they were just scary stories told to children. "I will set up the arena with full safety protocols," Commander Zephkol said. Malakar's smile grew wider. "No. No safety protocols, no rules, no help from teachers, just survival." Veltan looked worried. "Perhaps we should discuss this privately. Before, the first test will be with the fast one," Malakar said, pointing at Krixtel. "Speed is a useful gift. Let me see how useful." Before anyone could object, Malakar moved. One moment he was standing near the door. The next moment he was across the room near Krixtel. Kang Ho had never seen anything move that fast. Not even Krixtel himself. "Wait," Commander Zephkol said, reaching for his communication device, but when he pressed the button, nothing happened. The communications are not working. Malachar laughed, a sound like wind blowing through a graveyard. I have technology that blocks all signals in this room. No one can call for help. No one can leave. We are alone. Crixtel realized what was happening first. His yellow skin turned pale, and he began to move toward the exit. But Malachar was already there, blocking his path. "The test begins now," Malachar said. Crixtel used his speed, moving in a circle around the room faster than most eyes could follow. But Malachar was not most enemies. The Slayer stood perfectly still and waited. When Crixtel came close enough to attack, Malachar moved. The sound was terrible. Crixtel's scream cut through the air as Malachar's claws found him. The young alien tried to run, but he was badly hurt. He made it only a few steps before falling. "Interesting," Malachar said, looking at his claws. "Speed without wisdom is useless." The other students backed away toward the far wall. Do-hyun grabbed Kang-ho's arm. "We need to get out of here," she whispered, but there was nowhere to go. The doors would not open. The windows were too strong to break. They were trapped in the training room with a creature that wanted to kill them. Thekmor stepped forward, his armor plates shifting into battle position. "I will fight you, monster." "Good," Malachar said. "Show me what strength can do against a real predator." Thekmor charged with all his power. His armored fists struck Malachar again and again, but the Slayer moved like water, flowing around the attacks. When Thekmor's armor left small gaps open, Malachar's claws found them. The big alien fought bravely, but armor meant nothing to a creature that had hunted armored prey across 100 worlds. Soon, Thekmor joined Crixtel on the floor. Silvera tried to use her mind powers, but they had no effect. Malachar's alien brain was too different from other species. Her mental attacks could not find anything to grab onto. "Telepathy," Malachar said as his claws reached for her. Another useless gift when facing a superior predator. One by one, the students fell. Roxgon's 6 arms gave him no advantage against an enemy that could move faster than all 6 could strike. The other alien students tried to work together, but Malachar had been hunting groups of prey for longer than their species had existed. Soon, only 3 students remained alive. Do-hyun pressed herself against the wall, shaking with fear. Commander Zefkol had stopped trying to call for help and was looking for anything that could be used as a weapon, and Kang-ho stood in the center of the room, watching Malachar with calm eyes. "Curious," the Slayer said, stepping over the body of another fallen student. "You do not run. You do not tremble like the female. Why are you not afraid, little human?" Kang-ho studied the creature that had killed his classmates. Malachar was fast and strong, but he was also proud. He liked to talk to his prey before killing them. He enjoyed fear. "I am afraid," Kang-ho said honestly, "but fear does not help me survive." Malachar tilted his head like a curious animal. "What does help you survive?" Kang-ho thought about his childhood on Earth, about growing up during wars where the enemy could be anyone, about learning that the most dangerous predator was always another human who had learned the same lessons. "Understanding my enemy," he said. For the first time, Malachar looked truly interested. "And what do you understand about me?" Kang-ho smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had grown up in a place where smiling at the wrong time could get you killed. "You are not as good at hunting as you think you are." Malachar stared at Kang-ho with his black eyes. No prey had ever spoken to him like that before. Most creatures begged for their lives or tried to run away. This human was different. "Explain yourself," the Slayer said, his voice becoming dangerous. Kang Ho looked around the room at his fallen classmates. Some were still breathing, but they could not fight anymore. Do Yun was crying quietly in the corner. Commander Zefkol was trying to find a way to break through the door. "You hunt like someone who has always been the strongest," Kang Ho said. "You expect your prey to be afraid and make mistakes. But what happens when your prey is not afraid?" Malachar laughed, showing his sharp teeth. "All prey is afraid of death." "No," Kang Ho said. "Some prey has lived with death for so long that fear becomes something else." As he spoke, memories flashed through Kang Ho's mind. He remembered being 5 years old and hiding in a bomb shelter while the city above burned. He remembered learning to tell the difference between friendly aircraft and enemy aircraft by the sound of their engines. He remembered his first real fight when he was 7, against another child who wanted to take his food. On Earth, war had been going on for so long that most people could not remember peace. Countries fought over water, over land, over resources that were running out. But the worst fights were between humans themselves, in the ruins of cities and the spaces between settlements. Children grew up knowing that the person sitting next to them might try to kill them tomorrow if food became scarce. They learned to watch faces for signs of aggression. They learned to sleep with one eye open. They learned that the most dangerous enemy was always another human, because humans could think and plan and wait. "My planet made me weak?" Kang Ho asked. "Let me tell you about my planet." He began to walk slowly around the room. Malachar turned to follow him but did not attack yet. The Slayer was curious about this strange prey. "Earth has 7 billion humans on it," Kang Ho continued. "We have been fighting each other for thousands of years. We have created weapons that can destroy entire cities in seconds. We have fought wars where millions of people died. And do why? You know what we learned from all that fighting?" Malachar tilted his head. "We learned that the only way to survive is to be better at killing than the thing trying to kill you. And the thing trying to kill us was always another human who grew up learning the same lessons." Kang Ho stopped walking and faced the Slayer directly. "You think you are a predator, but you hunt animals that evolved to run away from predators. I evolved to hunt other predators." The words hung in the air like a challenge. Do Hyun stopped crying and looked at Kang Ho with surprise. She had never heard him talk like this before. Commander Zefkol also stopped what he was doing to listen. Malachar's smile began to fade. "You are trying to confuse me with words. You are still small and weak." "Am I?" Kang Ho asked. "Look at how you killed my classmates. Thekmor was strong, so you used his strength against him. Crixtel was fast, so you waited for him to come to you. Silvera had mind powers, so you used your alien brain to block her." The Slayer said nothing. "But what weakness will you use against me?" Kang Ho continued. "I am not the strongest or the fastest. I do not have special powers. So how will you kill me?" For the first time, Malachar looked uncertain. He had spent thousands of years hunting prey across the galaxy. He always found their greatest strength and turned it into their weakness. But this human claimed to have no strengths at all. "I will tear you apart with my claws," Malachar said, but his voice sounded less sure than before. Kang Ho smiled again, that same cold smile. "You could try, but then you would just be another predator trying to kill me. And I have been dealing with those my whole life." He thought about his teenage years, when the wars on Earth had gotten worse. Food was hard to find, and clean water was even harder. Young people formed groups to protect themselves, but the groups often fought each other. Kang Ho had learned to survive by being smarter than stronger opponents. He remembered the time when 3 older boys cornered him in an abandoned building. They had knives, and he had nothing, but he knew the building better than they did. He led them through rooms where the floor was weak, where pipes could fall, where shadows could hide a person. By the end, 2 of the boys were trapped under debris, and the 3rd had run away. "You want to know what makes humans dangerous?" Kang Ho asked Malakar. "We do not just fight to win. We fight to make sure our enemy loses, even if it kills us." Malakar took a step backward. "You are trying to trick me." "No tricks," Kang Ho said. "Just truth. On my world, when someone attacks you, you do not just defend yourself. You make sure they can never attack anyone again, because if you let them live, they will come back with friends." He began walking toward the weapons area of the training room. Malakar followed, but more carefully now. "You killed my classmates," Kang Ho said, picking up a metal rod like the one he had used against Thekmor. "That means you are my enemy now, and I have spent my whole life learning how to kill my enemies." Malakar hissed, a sound like steam escaping from a broken pipe. "You cannot kill me. I am a slayer. I have hunted for thousands of years." "And I am human," Kang Ho replied. "I come from a planet where even the children are trained killers, where every person you meet might be planning to murder you in your sleep, where the only rule is that the last one alive wins." He held the metal rod casually, but his eyes never left Malakar's face. "You have been hunting animals, alien. Now you get to hunt something that hunts back." Do-hyun watched from the corner in amazement. She had known Kang Ho was different from other students, but she had never understood why. Now she began to see it. He was not just a student learning to fight. He was a warrior who had been fighting since before he could walk. Commander Zeph Cole also stared at Kang Ho with new understanding. The reports about humans had been wrong. They were not weak because their planet was dangerous. They were dangerous because their planet had made them into something the galaxy had never seen before. Malakar crouched low, ready to attack. But for the first time in his long life, he felt something he had never experienced while hunting. He felt like prey. "Come on, then," Kang Ho said quietly. "Let me show you what a real predator looks like." Malakar attacked with all his speed and fury. His claws cut through the air where Kang Ho had been standing just a moment before. But the human was already moving, rolling behind a piece of training equipment. The Slayer followed, smashing through the metal barrier like it was paper. But again, Kang Ho was not there. He had slipped through a maintenance door that most people would not even notice. "Running away, little human," Malakar called out. "I thought you were going to show me what a real predator looks like." Kang Ho's voice came from somewhere in the walls. "I am showing you. You just do not understand yet." The Academy's training room connected to many other areas through service tunnels and maintenance shafts. These passages were meant for repair workers and cleaning robots. They were narrow, dark, and filled with pipes and cables. Most students never paid attention to them, but Kang Ho had noticed them on his first day. Growing up in war zones had taught him to always know every way in and out of any place he entered. He had explored these tunnels during his free time, mapping them in his mind. Malakar tried to follow him into the narrow passage, but his tall body did not fit well. He had to crawl, which made him slower and clumsier. As he squeezed through the tight space, something sharp cut across his shoulder. The Slayer roared in pain and anger. When he looked back, He saw a piece of broken metal that had not been there before. The human had set a trap. "First blood to me," Kang Ho's voice echoed through the tunnels. Malachar broke through the wall to get back into the main room. His shoulder was bleeding, and his perfect white skin was stained. No prey had ever hurt him before. "Face me directly, coward," he shouted. "Why?" Kang Ho asked from somewhere nearby. "You have claws and speed. I have intelligence and experience. We each use our strengths." The Slayer began tearing apart the training room, looking for hidden passages. He smashed computers, broke training equipment, and ripped open wall panels. But every time he thought he had found Kang Ho, the human was somewhere else. Meanwhile, small accidents kept happening to Malachar. A ceiling panel fell and hit his head. A cable wrapped around his ankle when he was not looking. Steam from a broken pipe burned his eyes. Each incident was small, but together they began to wear him down. "What are you doing to me?" Malachar demanded. "What humans have always done," Kang Ho replied. "We do not give up. We do not stop. We keep hunting until our enemy is dead." Do-hyun watched in amazement from her hiding spot. She could barely see Kang Ho, but she could see the effects of his actions. Every few minutes, something would go wrong for Malachar. The Slayer was getting more frustrated and making more mistakes. Commander Zefkol had stopped trying to break down the door. Instead, he was studying what the human was doing. This was not the kind of fighting they taught at the academy. This was something else entirely. Hours passed. Malachar had been cut, burned, hit by falling objects, and exhausted by chasing shadows. His white skin was now covered in blood and dirt. His breathing was heavy. "I have hunted across 1,000 worlds," he panted. "No prey has ever done this to me. That is because you have never hunted something that evolved to hunt hunters," Kang Ho said. He appeared at the far end of the room, standing calmly near the weapons area. Malachar charged toward him, but his movements were slower now. The human waited until the last moment, then stepped aside. The Slayer crashed into the weapon rack, and several heavy pieces of metal fell on top of him. "On Earth," Kang Ho said, picking up a new weapon while Malachar struggled to get free. "We call this persistence hunting. It is how humans caught animals that were faster and stronger than us. We did not run them down with speed. We ran them down with endurance." Malachar broke free from the fallen weapons and swiped at Kang Ho with his claws. This time he managed to cut the human's arm. Blood ran down Kang Ho's sleeve. "There," the Slayer said with satisfaction. "You bleed like any other prey." "Yes," Kang Ho agreed, "but bleeding does not stop me. Pain does not stop me. Fear does not stop me. That is what makes humans dangerous." He moved away again, leading Malachar on another chase through the damaged training room. But now the human was bleeding, leaving a trail that the Slayer could follow. Malachar smiled as he tracked the blood drops. Finally, he would corner his prey. He followed the trail through a broken doorway into a smaller room filled with exercise equipment. The trail led to a corner where Kang Ho seemed to be hiding behind a large machine. Malachar crept forward carefully, ready to pounce. But when he reached the corner, there was only a bloody piece of cloth tied to the machine. The human was not there. "You keep making the same mistake," Kang Ho's voice said from behind him. Malachar spun around to see the human standing in the doorway. But it was not the same doorway he had entered through. Somehow, Kang Ho had gotten behind him. "What mistake?" the Slayer asked. "You think like a predator," Kang Ho said. "You hunt prey that runs away from you. But I am not running away from you. I am leading you exactly where I want you to go. Malachar looked around the small room and realized his mistake. There was only one way out, and the human was blocking it. The Slayer had been so focused on following the blood trail that he had not noticed he was being led into a trap. This room has no other exits, Kang Ho continued. No maintenance shafts, no hidden passages, just you, me, and 4 walls. For the first time, Malachar felt real fear. All his hunting tricks were useless. In a small space with no escape routes, he would have to fight the human directly. Now, Kang Ho said, raising his weapon, let me show you how humans fight when we cannot run away. The human's eyes were calm but cold. He did not look like someone who was afraid of dying. He looked like someone who had accepted that death might come, but was determined to take his enemy with him. Malachar realized too late what the human had been doing all along. Every chase, every trap, every small wound had been leading to this moment. The Slayer had not been hunting his prey. His prey had been hunting him. Welcome to Earth rules, Kang Ho said quietly. The last one alive wins. In the small room with no escape, Malachar faced Kang Ho for the final time. The Slayer was wounded and tired from hours of being hunted. The human was also bleeding, but his eyes were still sharp and focused. You cannot defeat me in direct combat, Malachar said, trying to sound confident. I am still faster and stronger than you. Maybe, Kang Ho agreed. But strength and speed are not the only ways to win a fight. The human began moving in a slow circle around the room. Malachar turned to follow him, but something felt wrong. The way Kang Ho moved reminded the Slayer of something, but he could not remember what. Then he realized it. The human was moving like a predator circling wounded prey. Malachar was no longer the hunter. He had become the hunted. Impossible, the Slayer whispered. I am a perfect killing machine. I have evolved for millions of years to hunt other species. And I come from a species that evolved to hunt perfect killing machines, Kang Ho replied. Do you know what the most dangerous animal on Earth is? Malachar said nothing. Humans, Kang Ho continued. Not tigers or sharks or poisonous snakes, humans, because we are the only species that hunts everything else, including each other. The human stopped circling and faced Malachar directly. His metal weapon was ready, but he held it like someone who had used weapons his whole life. You made one big mistake, Kang Ho said. You thought this was about physical combat, but for humans, combat is about psychology. It is about making your enemy defeat themselves. Malachar looked confused. What do you mean? Look at yourself, Kang Ho said. You are bleeding, tired, and trapped in a small room. You are asking questions instead of attacking. You are afraid, and you do not understand why. The Slayer realized it was true. For the first time in his long life, he felt uncertain. This small, weak creature had done something to his mind that he could not explain. That is what humans do, Kang Ho explained. We get inside our enemy's head. We make them doubt themselves. We turn their own thoughts against them. Malachar roared and attacked with desperate fury. His claws whistled through the air toward Kang Ho's throat. But the human was ready. He had been studying the Slayer's fighting style for hours. Kang Ho ducked under the first strike and hit Malachar's wounded shoulder with his weapon. The Slayer screamed in pain and swung wildly with his other arm. The human rolled away and struck again, this time hitting the alien's knee. You fight with anger, Kang Ho observed as Malachar stumbled. Anger makes you sloppy. On Earth, sloppy fighters die young. The battle continued, but it was not like the fights with the alien students. Malachar was stronger and faster, but Kang Ho was smarter and more experienced. Every time the Slayer attacked, the human was somewhere else. Every time Malachar left himself open, Kang Ho's weapon found the weak spot. Slowly, the perfect predator was being taken apart by his own prey. How? Malachar gasped as another strike found its mark. How can you fight so well? Practice, Kang Ho said simply. I have been fighting since I was old enough to walk, against enemies who were trying to kill me, not playing games or following rules. He thought about all the battles he had survived on Earth, street fights over food, raids on enemy settlements, defending his family's shelter from bandits. Each fight had taught him something new about how to hurt people who wanted to hurt him. But more than that, he had learned to fight without emotion. Fear, anger, and hatred all made fighters make mistakes. On Earth, showing emotion in a fight was the same as asking to die. Malachar made one final desperate attack, using all his remaining strength. His claws came within inches of Kang Ho's face, but the human moved just enough to avoid them and brought his weapon down on the Slayer's wrist. There was a cracking sound as bones broke. Malachar's claws would not work properly anymore. The Slayer fell to his knees, bleeding and broken. He looked up at Kang Ho with confusion and fear. What are you? Kang Ho stood over him, weapon ready in case the alien tried one more attack. But Malachar was finished. The perfect predator had been defeated by prey that refused to act like prey. I am human, Kang Ho said. I come from a world where everything tries to kill everything else, where children learn to fight before they learn to read, where the only way to survive is to be better at killing than anything that wants to kill you. Malachar closed his black eyes. I understand now. Your species is not weak. You are something worse than predators. You are survivors. At that moment, the doors to the training room burst open. Academy security forces rushed in, followed by Velton and medical teams. They had finally broken through Malachar's signal jamming. What happened here? Velton demanded, looking at the destroyed room and the fallen students. Commander Zeph Cole pointed at Kang Ho, who was now helping Do Hyun tend to their wounded classmates. The human happened. The medical teams quickly began treating the injured students. Most of them would survive, though some would need weeks to recover fully. Malachar was taken away in heavy restraints, alive but no longer dangerous. Velton studied the damage to the training room. Walls were broken, equipment was destroyed, and there were signs of fighting everywhere. But in the middle of it all, one human student stood calmly, as if surviving a battle with a legendary killer was just another day at school. Kang Ho, Velton said. How did you defeat a Slayer? The human looked at him with tired eyes. I did not defeat him, sir. I just refused to let him win. Commander Zeph Cole approached them. I have been teaching combat for 30 years, he said. I have never seen anything like what you did today. It is not special, Kang Ho replied. It is just how humans fight when we have no choice. Do Hyun looked at her fellow human with new respect. I never understood before, she said, why the other species fear us, even though we lost the war. Kang Ho helped her stand up. We did not lose the war because we are weak, he said. We lost because we are too good at fighting. The galaxy was afraid of what would happen if humans kept getting better at killing things. Velton overheard this and nodded slowly. The reports about your species were wrong. We thought your planet made you weak. Instead, it made you into something the galaxy has never seen before. "What is that?" Commander Zefkul asked. Veltan looked at Kang Ho, who was now checking on Thekmor's injuries without any sign of fear or hatred toward the alien who had once looked down on him. "Warriors who fight not because they love war," Veltan said, "but because they love the things they are protecting." Later that day, Veltan sent a message to the Galactic Council. It was short but important. Request immediate review of human admission standards. Previous assessments were incorrect. Recommendation: increase human student numbers immediately. Note: we did not invite an exchange student. We invited an apex predator who learned to smile. Kang Ho never saw that message. He was too busy helping his classmates recover and preparing for the next day's training. Because on Earth, surviving one fight just meant you were ready for the next one. And there was always a next one.